How's it hanging, dudes? My name is Sean, and welcome back to Brutal Games and another Cyberpunk 2077 video. And okay, so there's been something on my mind. It's been wearing on me about Cyberpunk 2077 for a while, ever since I made, I think it was a couple days ago, 2-3 days ago, the upload before last, something like that. In short, you've seen the title and the thumbnail. Yes, there at one point was a nuke that dropped on Night City. That happened, but it didn't happen because the nuke dropping on Night City is no longer canon for obvious reasons. You know, if the nuke dropped into Fourth Corporate War, which isn't that far away from 2077. Yes, it's quite a leap from 2077. I think the Fourth Corporate War is around the 1990s. I might be wrong. We'll get into that later. But yeah, so it might even be further than that. So it wasn't that far from 2077, which means that there would be a lot of radiation, even with technological advances. It wouldn't be a hub like it is today. So there's obvious reasons why that's no longer canon. And they've also tailored a lot of things to fit, a futuristic, advanced storyline for 2077. But it is not canon, and before Cyberpunk, because it's already so popular, and before it gets even larger, I feel like I want to make a video for at least my fan base so we can help dispel some of the rumors, because most of you know that one of my biggest shticks about Cyberpunk 2077 is because this game is going to be so big in scope, and because it's made by one of the best development companies out there, they literally say we lead the greed to others, which is such a good sign, and that we need to really make sure we as a fan base tell people what is speculation, what is canon, what is not canon. For those of you who don't know what canon means, if you're a normie, canon means is just like take any series. You know, there's a certain set of timelines, and let's say there's a point in that timeline that you want to omit as a storyline creator or a developer who's in charge of this franchise. Well, they did it a lot with pretty much all of the Old Republic and Star Wars. It's all no longer canon, which means it's not considered part of the story, the main storyline. It's not in the canonical timeline. But I do want to at least let people know what it is, let people understand a little bit about what it is, and I kind of want to get into that today. And of course, you guys can go to the wiki page yourself and read through it, but if you want to read along with me, stick with it. And I came across this, I guess to start, let's say this. I came across this. This was an information alert on the wiki page as I was reading the Arasaka history, the corporation history. You have to excuse me also. I've been a little sick lately, so my voice is kind of hoarse. Anyway, it does help you out. This wiki page. It says that the articles contain plot information that are no longer considered canon. That helps. So during the Fourth Corporate War, the Arasaka Corporation faced off against Militech, which resulted in a nuclear bomb being detonated in the center of Night City. Cyber's plan for world domination has become a reality, and he retreated his forces back to Japan, where it had stockpiled several nuclear missiles with the help of its ally North Korea. The Japanese Self-Defense Force managed to crush Arasaka's forces and delivered Arasaka's head to the United States, and it is assumed to Arasaka Corporation folded after this event. So this is no longer considered canon. What can we take from this? Well, we can take one that Saburo Arasaka may or may not be dead. His head may have not been given to the United States, right? Also, the Arasaka headquarters might not necessarily be in Japan, and they might still be stocking nuclear missiles, or at least WMDs of some sort in the future, but on the United States mainland, and their headquarters is probably located in Night City. I'm not 100% sure about that, so just know that I am not 100% sure about that. So yeah, but they still did fight off against Militech, and there's still some information to be had about that, so let's jump into that. Now, on the wiki page, the Fourth Corporate War, they don't add in the nuke on this, which is really cool. It's really awesome because it doesn't really confuse the timeline for new people who are coming to watch or learn about Cyberpunk 2077. So it does omit that, and we can read through the Fourth Corporate War and kind of take bits and pieces of it and see for ourselves why there was a nuke that happened, right? So, Firestorm, a history of the Fourth Corporate War. In late 2021, two rivals, I thought it was like 1990s, 2021. Well, wasn't too far off. Anyways, in the 2020s, Two rival aquatech companies, OTEC, Ocean Technology Energy Corp, and CANON Corporation International. I'm not even going to Ocean. What is these words? Came to a fiscal and then a physical blow over the disposition of a defunct third corporation, IHAG International. I'm sorry. I do not know these words because I'm not from that area. Okay, moving on. As the situation escalated, each side brought in heavy muscle to back their play. Militech in case of OTEC, and Arasaka for CANON's corner. So they kind of had a little division there. The Ocean War was on. During the phase of the conflict, players can take either side running missions on behalf of the CANON or OTEC. Each company is looking to acquire stock in IHAG, but they are too closely matched in buying power for one side to gain a clear edge. So they decide to whittle down their opponent's resources to gain leverage. During the Ocean War, a few notable things occur. A fight starts with combat net runners making runs on stock holdings. NetWatch, NetPolice, who work for the internet, warn Arasaka and Militech to curtail their net activities with a 12-hour communication embargo. There's plenty of videos out there for net runners. I can't explain every single little thing that this video will be really long, so a lot of this stuff is kind of just assumed, so let's just keep on going. Morgan Blackhand signs on Militech as acting director of OTEC security operations. Eurobank wants to increase profit by offering loans to both sides, both of which reuse the forces of Eurobank into the conflict, trying to hurt both sides enough to where each is looking for more assets to tip the scales. It doesn't happen. Eurobank finally steps in to negotiate between the two and gets things calmed down. Peace accord signed in Paris. So you can already see that even in the 2020s, in this alternate reality in Cyberpunk, corporations are in the midst of already controlling the entire world, right? So what they're doing is they're really just fighting with each other to stamp their own stomping grounds, their own areas to control, right? And including the ocean. There's so much natural resources and so much that these people would have stock in, really. As you would expect, when these two giants step into a small ring, a war quickly stopped being about OTEC versus CANON and soon became about Militech versus Arasaka. By the time Eurobank stepped in to help the two Aquatech Corps finally cash in and come to terms over IHAG, their security firms were just getting warmed up. By early 2022, a violent and persuasive shadow war was in full swing between the two armament companies. Edge runners around the world were hired on for breakneck series of vicious but covert black operations and strike, notable events of the shadow war. And you can obviously see how these corporations are pretty much using governments as puppets. We're having banks acting as mediators in between two companies who are literally at war, and they're literally hiring like bounty hunters. Really, they're just armed guards to start like building up an army. That's literally in the midst of happening, and you can see how it easily builds up to an apex of the world we have in 2077, which would be on steroids from what we're reading right now. Arasaka completes research on Soulkiller 2.5, which they use to gain info on Militech projects and installations. Desperate to protect themselves, Militech asked the best netrunner in the world, Rashay Bartmos. Am I saying that right? I'm sorry if I'm butchering that name. For help. He refuses. Militech contracts Alt, who is willing to help them destroy Soulkiller, especially if it means taking a shot at Arasaka. Alt finally convinces Rosh to help. Rosh, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. I'm not as steeped into the previous events and previous characters of Cyberpunk 2077. Like I say, I'm new to this, and there's one thing I am sure about. Trying to make sure what's canon, what's not canon. Everything we're reading now is canon. It's just a nuke that got dropped is not canon. Remember that as we go through. Arasaka puts a huge contract on Rashay Bartmos. I don't even know how. I should look up how to say that. I really should. Bartmos is killed, or Bartmos locates Soulkiller master program. Bartmos is then killed, but not before deploying some unknown program. So there's a whole history within this fourth corporate war that there might be a bunch of Easter eggs within the world of 2077, right? So keep a lookout for this kind of stuff. And if you need to go research all these different pages, I encourage you to do so. It will really help. It might really help you out within the game when it comes. Unfortunately, the giant chest-bumping contest between Arasaka and Militech with Black Ops strikes proved inconclusive, and it was only a matter of time before they decided to stop dancing and take each other on head-on. In June of 2022, the hot war began. The fighting gets taken to the streets, and several cities, notably Hong Kong and Rio de Janeiro, are reduced to rubble, notable events of the hot war. So this is pretty much turning into like a World War III, you know. Large-scale corruption and net communications discovered. Its people start backing things up. Rachel Bartmoss returns to net persona, hitting both Arasaka and Militech's data forts. And there is, you can read this if you want, but there's a whole laundry list of things, of just dominoes that start to fall until we get right about here, and it says, SoCal declares that Militech and Arasaka holdings in LA are to be nationalized. Texas and Japan soon follow. So you can already see the U.S. is breaking up over these corporations fighting. And just before that, it says O'Neill 2 orbital colony declares independence, acknowledged by U.S. and Japan. They defend their independence with weapons acquired from an unknown source. I wonder who that could be. Probably Militech. Militech aligns itself with the U.S. government. Arasaka loses the war. Or, sorry, I didn't mean to say Militech. It probably was Arasaka. You got to think that these two head-on companies, they're battling for who's going to be the biggest military supplier. They're pretty much the industrial complex on steroids, fighting against each other. Arasaka loses the war. Its remaining forces amass in Night City, which is ringed by Militech and U.S. troops. Night City is under martial law for the duration of the crisis, but is very much under Arasaka control. And you can see how Night City now is completely controlled by all of the corpos and everything that goes on with that because of this right here. When Arasaka withdrew his forces into their stronghold, they really did take complete control over Night City, even though Arasaka and Richard Knight pretty much built that city, right? Now, when it says that Arasaka loses the war, there probably used to be a line that said because a nuke was dropped, right? But we know that that's not canon anymore, so just know that. The final mission, the guns silenced. Most of the major NPCs, Rogue, Shaitan, Spider Murphy, Thompson, Johnny Silverhand, are assigned to Strike Team Alpha, whose mission is to gain entrance into Arasaka Tower. Get to the 120th floor where Soul Killer Labs are, destroy Soul Killer 3.0, rescue Alt, who was consumed by Soul Killer herself and has been since become a digital personality construct, and destroy the lab with a firebomb. This is the primary mission. So you can see how technology is just overwhelming everybody. It's taking everybody by storm, and they're finally starting to use implants to help them fight. And that's what Arasaka is doing when they're all held up inside this tower. And they go on, Johnny Silverhand and them go on to get in, you know. There was a lot of planning, there's a lot of complications. The players, you know, if you're playing the game, the players will somehow get in and prepare to set off the nuke while trying to get across the database. While doing so, they find the engram of Arasaka, whose mind has been copied by Soul Killer. They have a choice to make. They have enough memory to on their portable storage device to back up the database, or in Yorinobu. Yorinobu Arasaka could be very important. He is a rogue son of Arasaka who formed the Steel Dragon Bike Gang and was always trying to expose the corporation. Getting him out would widely be regarded as a good thing. In any case, the database does not make it out. Meanwhile, on the 120th floor, Strike Team Alpha is in for trouble. Key Arasaka realizes the hostile forces have entered the tower and tries to send the backup of Soul Killer to a remote location. This forces Morgan Hand whose order in an aerial strike to destroy the uplink. Once this occurs, it verifies that the Soul Killer is a target and tip their hand, allowing Key to send forces to those locations in the tower, which puts added pressure on each team. Alpha Team is successful. Spider Murphy downloads Alt to the storage unit. Unfortunately, they are ambushed by Atom Smasher and a ton of Arasaka troops before they get out. In desperation, Spider uploads Alt into the net, and hopefully he retrieved one day if she's lucky enough to survive. Johnny Silverhand leaps from the cover to provide an opening and is gunned down by Atom Smasher. Shaitan jumps from Atom to buy an escape for Rogue, Spider, and Thompson, the last of which is critically injured. Atom, in pursuit, runs into his arch-rival, Morgan Blackhand, the Solo, widely regarded as the greatest edge runner on the planet. The two face off, each intent on ending the other. In a hell of bullets and explosions, as the two legends battle it out, the nukes go off. They didn't put the disclaimer. Why did they not put the disclaimer here? Why did I not read far enough ahead? Not canon, guys. Not canon. The tower lurches. Both Adam and Morgan fall to their fate is unknown. Both are presumed dead. Arasaka Tower collapses, obliterated everything in its path. And that's how Arasaka lost the war, apparently. But they did not include... I might have to log on and edit that myself, because this is going to bug me now, guys. It's going to bug me. So I know there's a lot of information there. I know I'm not, like the best linguist at explaining all of this stuff as I go, just because I'm so new to this and I'm very transparent about that. But just know that I'm not 100% sure about if the Fourth Corporate War is 100% canon, how much of it is canon, because they didn't put any disclaimers in this wiki, and that's kind of bugging me now. But OTEC, CINO, IHAG, all those places are those things are just amalgamations, corporate agreements, and corporations, and a lot of that stuff. And you can research all this stuff. I really do encourage you to. All of the characters that, like, Johnny Silverhand, as we know, is the rock star we've seen in the 48-minute gameplay reveal. And there's a bunch of other people that might have a big, heavy playing role in the lore of Cyberpunk 2077. So I will reach out to the PR people on Twitter and see how much of the Fourth Corporate War is still canon. But just know that it is possibly not at all canon. But the nuke dropping 100% is not canon. Know that. I'm a big stickler about that. We need to get this speculation and stuff like that right. So if you donkey punch turtles, make sure you smash that like and subscribe if you're new. Until next time, piss off.
2 to the 1, from the 1 to the 3. I like good pussy and I like good trees. Smoke so much weed you wouldn't believe, and I get more ass than a